What is good, everybody? Welcome to TGI Football here on the SB Nation NFL show. A reminder before we go any further that this show is presented to you by our friends at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code SBNFL for a special offer when you sign up. That is code SBNFL only at DraftKings Sportsbook. As noted, this is the SB Nation NFL show. You can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple devices, Spotify, whatever. You can watch us on the SB Nation NFL YouTube channel, our Twitter page, our Facebook page. We make ourselves very, very accessible for you to hear my beaten, battered voice. My name is RJ Ochoa from SB Nation's Blogging the Boys. I am, in fact, fighting a cold because I have a 2-year-old, and that's life with them, apparently. Not joined by my normal co-hosts, both Steven Serta and Brandon Lee Gowden, both of full health, thank God, I think, but just out because they're playing hooky. In their stead, we needed one person to have the strength of two, which is why I went to Justis Mosqueda of SB Nation's Acme Packing Company. Justis, thank you so much for joining TGI Football this week.
Absolutely. Happy to be back.
How sick do I sound? You've heard me. Not.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, but then I was like, I know.
I actually think I sound worse. Like I have felt this bad, like the way that I think I sound at some points in the week, but I'm at a point now where the voice like range is just stuck, even though I think I'm feeling better. So it is what it is. Justis, we are going to recap Thursday Night Football as we do every week here on TGI Football. We're going to do our Pick 3 segment, which is brought to you by DraftKings. We're going to preview all of the games to come in Week 10. We've made it to Week 10. Do you consider this the halfway point or the second half of the season, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're at least there's fewer than 20 weeks, right? It's like 20 weeks, including the Super Bowl and everything. So,
well, there's 18 regular season weeks, and we've played 9. So, like, not every team, like, there's the symmetry of 16 games is over, which sucks. So, like, some teams have played 8 games, some teams have played 9, whatever the case may be. But were you aware before Thursday night of the quarterbacks for this week's primetime slate? Had you looked at it?
Yes, I had.
Yeah, well, we're only 1/3 of the way through, bro. So I mean, we still have a ways to go. Thursday Night Football did indeed happen. That's about the nicest thing that I can say about it, Justis. The Chicago Bears won, survived, lost less than the Carolina Panthers. The final score was 16-13. Did you see, Justis, that prior to last night, there was only one prior meeting between a number 1 overall pick and an undrafted quarterback, both obviously in their rookie season?
I had not.
So obviously last night was Bryce Young and Tyson Bagent, the talk of the town. But this had happened once before, pretty recently, actually. It was Kyler Murray's rookie season against Duck Hodges. And what was interesting was
how could we forget about Duck Hodges?
That was a weird time in the NFL. But Kyler Murray's team lost. So the number 1 overall pick team, lost to the undrafted free agent rookie quarterback. And that happened again. Tyson Bagent has authored 2 wins this season for the Bears, who you love greatly. And Justin Fields has only authored 1, as has Bryce Young. This was gross, Justis. Thank God it didn't go to overtime.
Everyone in America was rooting against that kid going in, right?
I mean, I think even Cairo Santos was rooting. Like, based on his reaction afterwards, I think he was kind of like, yeah, what did you expect from this? This was gross. Like, this game made me like football less. You know what I mean? Like,
this is not what Amazon was paying for.
Have you ever, I mean, we're a year and, I don't know, 3/4 into the Amazon package, I guess. Like, has there been an Amazon game that you're like, oh man, that was totally worth it for them?
Wasn't there like some like Chiefs Chargers game at some point? I feel like I remember some Chiefs Chargers game.
The first Amazon game last year was the Chargers and Arrowhead, and that had all the hype. But then the second Chiefs Chargers game last year, I think, was on Sunday Night Football. But like, they all stink, man. Like last year, the one I always think of is the Broncos Colts game from last year. And that was like the true beginning of everyone just dunking on Russ. This was that. Like, this was very, very close to that. This was, who enjoyed this? Like, nobody enjoyed this.
The saving grace for TNF is the Stats Cast. Have you seen that?
Yeah. So well, the Stats Cast, Prime Vision, like all that stuff is cool. But like, are Bears fans happy today? Like, are Panthers fans sad? Like, this is just perpetual
Panthers fans
misery.
are sad.
I
I
guess that's
can
fair.
confirm Panthers fans are sad. What do you think about that kick? There were some
The-
people that were like, "Why would you kick it there?" I'm like, "That's
So
a makeable field goal, and it was 4th and long."
So it was 4th and 10. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
And 4th and 10. I'm pulling this up just to be very specific at the Chicago. What yard line specifically?
it was a 59-yard field goal, and the wind was at the back of the kicker. So theoretically, the wind is helping you in that scenario.
Right. So I just don't understand. Here it is. It's from the Chicago 41-yard line on 4th and 10. I mean, like, I don't mean to do the like football guy take thing, like you drafted this dude number one overall, but like the fact that you don't believe in Bryce Young at all there is really startling. Um, and again, it'd be one thing if it was like 4th and 3 on like a 44-yard field goal attempt. You know what I mean? Like if we play with the numbers a little bit. It was ultimate cowardice, and it was so clearly not going to happen. And like to kick that kick in Chicago of all places at this time of year, if you're in a dome or something like that, then maybe I can kind of talk myself into it. But like I'm not a Frank Reich guy. I'm a big fan of Frank Reich, the person. By all measurements, seems to be a great human being. He's a horrible coach, dude. Like this like what is there? At least if you're the Bears, you're like, okay, we suck, but like they suck more. We have their pick. We have our pick that sucks. Like the Packers suck. Just
That's right.
so like we have some capital to work with to suck less in the future. What do you have if you're the Panthers? You have Bryce Young and Frank Reich. Like, how do you believe in either of these commodities right
The toughest thing, it's not even just Frank Reich. And I understand, Dave Tepper's got more money than God, right? Like he's rich by NFL owner
now? Right.
standards, right? Like he's got more money than all of them. But with that being said, like it's not just Frank Reich. They spent so much money on this coaching staff. This might
Mm-hmm.
be the most expensive coaching staff like in the history of football. And I know, Wright wasn't a guy who cost like Bill Belichick type of money. But once you
Right.
start adding up all the assistants, like they stole Deuce Staley. He was the assistant head coach for the Lions, right? Thomas Brown was the running backs coach for the Rams and the assistant head coach there. He's the offensive coordinator there now. Josh McCown was a guy who was getting head coaching interviews. He's a quarterback coach there. James Campen, the offensive line coach, was the guy who built all those offensive lines in Green Bay for Mike McCarthy. Gio Evero was a guy who had been getting, head coaching looks. They got Todd Wash there, who's, longtime defensive line coach. Dom Capers is senior assistant for the team. Like, they're spending so much money. And if you change over staffs now, you're paying out everyone's contract and then
Right.
paying a new. And like I said, Tepper, more money than God. If anyone's going to do it, it's going to be him. I mean, we just saw, the money that,
The
Mark Davis
Raiders.
just burned. Yeah,
Right.
Mark Davis just burned in Vegas. Like maybe they do it, but it is a little concerning. I mean, the thing that always sticks in my mind about Bryce Young is going back to those videos in camp, before the pads even came on,
Right.
and they weren't allowed. Like the defensive line for Carolina in practice wasn't allowed to use their hands to impede his vision or like
Right.
anything like that. And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, like this is a dude who's, I know what he was listed at the combine, but I've also stood next to him. This dude is 5'8". Like I don't know how him and Kyler got the numbers that they got in Indianapolis, but like these dudes are 5'8", and like maybe that's a little too far in the NFL.
It's like there is some precedent, I guess, like Drew Brees, obviously, Russell Wilson to a degree, but like even then, like,
But
I
they're
mean,
taller than they are.
right.
Like
But that's what I'm saying. Like they're short by like NFL quarterbacks standards.
Fluty's the only
Okay,
one.
like that. Now we're going like really far into the weeds, but like
Yeah.
that's the thing, man. Can you name a moment off the top of your head where you've been like, oh, that like it was worth it? Like because there a moment that like
For
Panthers
Bryce?
fans, what?
For Bryce Young?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're a Panthers fan, like is there like a moment, a play, something you can look back to? You're like, oh, that was totally worth it. Like you know what I mean? Like you can't like, and you're halfway through the season, and I mean like it's ridiculous to jump to any conclusion about anything, halfway through a season. But like, man, the arrow is pointing really, really, really down. it's not pointing that much higher for the Bears. I feel really badly. I love Matt Eberflus, like dating back to his days in Dallas. Like he was awesome with Sean Lee. I've always been rooting for him. I've always had kind of a soft spot for the Bears, just as a franchise. Like we all kind of have those weird teams, and so like this was the like marriage of all these things that I love. But man, dude, like this is not fun. Like this is like it's just like I mean, I don't know how they're always this poor on offense. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, I think they still haven't had a 4,000-yard passer like in the history of
It's just
Chicago Bears
incredible.
football. They've been around for 100 years. That's nuts. Do we have to take this Bajan stuff seriously?
No.
There's no
dude.
way we have to take it seriously, right? Like, I'm happy that he won 2 games.
It's cool. It's a cool story, but like it's not even Duck Hodges. You know what I mean? Like it's so like it's so uninteresting. I saw JP Acosta, our coworker, tweet out something like "Fire Josh McDaniels again for making Tyson Bagent look great in the first game." Like you know what I mean? Like it was just like I mean like I really am intrigued about the long-term future here in Chicago. I suppose with DJ Moore and Montez Sweat is like, you know, cornerstones to build around if they do get the quarterback thing right. I mean, I don't know. But like I'm just so out on this team. Like I mean, they're so boring. Like there's nothing like this game was so boring in that when we got Jason Kelsey shoved down our throats, but when he was on the broadcast, like they absolutely completely ignored the game that was happening in front of them. Him, Michaels, and Herbstreit. Like it was amazing. Like nobody cared. All anybody was like going through Justis on Thursday night was literally the motions to get to next week's Bengals Ravens Thursday night game.
There were legitimate debates that I was seeing on Twitter where people were talking about, you know how people are like, yeah, you should just tank games and lose games and get better, draft capital and stuff like that. There are people asking if it's better for the Bears if they win or if they lose to the Panthers.
It's a
And
unique
that's
situation with them having their pick.
right. And when that's the storyline of the game, brother, it's November 10th. Ugh.
They, also, low-key interesting, the Bears have played 2 Thursday night games this season. Like, think about your Amazon, you cut that, like, what was it, like, billion-dollar check or whatever for Thursday Night Football? You got 2 Bears games
Chicago
this
market,
year.
man.
I mean, I guess, but, I mean, it's massive and powerful and everything, and I get that, but, like, goodness gracious, I mean, thank goodness it's over. Next week's we're really going to test Thursday Night Football and like the what it is. And people think this is just like some younger people. This is the way it's always been. Like it since 2006. Like it has never been good. No, you can switch out the broadcast, which they've done many different times. It always sucks. It's always bad because players are not ready for it. But if Bengals Ravens sucks next week, then we know that this is just an inconquerable monster. This is a Kobayashi Maru.
Hopefully it's half decent. I mean, Burrow seems like he's finally right, and Lamar's playing at an MVP level right now. So I'm excited for that one.
We'll get to that. Before we preview all of the games, Justis, we are going to do our Pick 3 segment here on TGI Football, which is brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code SBNFL for a special offer when you sign up. That is code SBNFL only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Okay, Justis, in case anybody is new around here, you obviously haven't done a show with us this season. This is the way this works. Every week, myself, Steven, Brandon, we each pick a leg to form a same game parlay of a particular game that week in the NFL. We hope that it hits. Did you know, Justis, that we had literally never done this? Like we had literally never landed one until last week. Like literally last week was the first time that we successfully hit on the same game parlay during Cowboys Eagles, which had a horrible result. But so we're riding a hot streak. So if we cool off, we have you to blame. You know what I'm saying? Right. You would be the cooler. So our game this week that we have chosen to build around is the Detroit Lions visiting the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, we do need 3 legs. You and I are only 2 people, even though you have the strength of 2. So I asked Steven. Steven did get one in. He is taking the over on Amon-Ra St. Brown receptions at 6.5. So 7 receptions from Amon-Ra St. Brown at -125. Do you like Steven's pick or not? I don't know if I do, if I'm being honest.
I don't know if I do. I'm with you. Well, if we want to talk about my pick, we'll see how we transition into this. But just in general, I think the Chargers are going to play a lot of 2 high defenses. there's been a lot of work done by people. For example, so like Arjun Menon tweeted this out on Twitter. He said Goff has a negative EPA versus too high coverages. Los Angeles Chargers have the third highest rate of post snap too high coverages this year. So this looks like a bad matchup for Goff, for Lions passing game. So I would kind of avoid that. It's too bad Steven isn't here to speak for himself. He's playing hooky.
Well, I mean, it's too bad for us. Like it's our overall parlay. I mean, like so. Steven has sent us down the wrong path, but you have zagged where he has zigged. If it isn't obvious, what is your leg of the parlay, Justice?
I'm going Goff under rushing yards. That's right.
Under rushing yards. I thought you were going under passing yards.
I thought I was going under passing yards, and you said the numbers don't work.
No. Your leg was fine. I had to change mine. So you're going under Jared Goff passing yards, just to be clear for the entire audience, yourself included.
Yes, I'm going under passing yards
at 267.5, by the way.
Yeah, bottle them up. As long as you can rush the passer, Bosa Mac, like you should be able to do fine against Goff. The Lions have a good offensive line, but it's hard to handle both of those guys, right? It's totally different when you have chip help on one dude, when you have two guys coming at you. I mean, we've seen the Khalil Mack go crazy game, record 3-4 sacks in a single game already this season. So
I liked this prop, to be honest, but for a completely different reason. I didn't tell you this before we started recording, but I actually had picked this, and then you picked it, and so I was like, "Well, Justice is the guest, so like I'll pick another."
How nice of you!
I know. I'm not a believer in the Chargers. We'll obviously pick this game in a little bit. But so my kind of thought was like, I think the Lions are going to kind of cruise a little bit here. Like I don't know that like this game's going to necessitate a big performance from Goff or like a big aerial performance from the Lions. So that was like my logic, which is also why I didn't like Steven's prop. So basically, neither of us like Steven. I do think this is always an easy line, what I'm taking, whether you're doing a parlay or you're doing any kind of daily fantasy or any kind of prop betting, whatever. I'm taking the over on Jared Goff's rushing yards. You intimated that a moment ago. It is 2.5. I just need one scramble from Jared Goff. That's it. Like, and I did this with Matthew Stafford a few weeks ago. I think it was 1.5, so it was a little bit lower. But 3 rushing yards for Jared Goff. Just pick up a first down, Goff, on like 2nd and 4. You got this. So all told, our overall same game parlay, Justice, is at plus 650. You are a bit of a degenerate yourself. Can you please explain in layman's terms what that means to somebody? If they place this overall parlay, they bet $10. What do they win?
Yeah. So the way it works, right? If you see a plus by the number, that's how much you would receive back if you put down 100, right? So if you put down 10, you make 65. Hopefully, you make 65. We'll see.
You will see. Okay, that is our same game parlay, once again brought to you by DraftKings. Okay, Justice, we're now going to preview every single game across the board in Week 10. I hadn't told you this, but we have we have 2 other rules. We have a lock of the week, which is pretty obvious what it is, and we're each going to lock a game. I have gotten locks from Steven and Brandon, just so we're clear. You have a lock as well. There's no like win or punishment or anything like that, but we also have a bit of a ritual. This is a little bit more complicated with just 2 of us, so we can mix it if you'd like. Every week, we each hold a zap, and what a zap is if you're like, I do not care to hear RJ's opinion on this game, I want to zap him. And if you do, I get zapped.
Is this just full skip of the game?
Yeah, I don't get to offer an opinion on the game. So like, say we're talking about Lions Chargers as an example, which you should not do because although the zap would be funny because it's the Chargers, but like, because that's our same game parlay. But like, say you're like, I just don't want to hear about RJ's opinion on Ravens Browns. You zap me. I can't offer like any context. I can just offer one sentence, which is my pick for the game. So you get one zap, I get one zap. Sometimes we sort of mercy zap, and if it's like a Bears Panthers situation, it's like, dude, let's just get through this. You know what I mean? Like, I'll zap you. I'll be cool. The only real rule is we cannot be zapped in terms of the teams that we cover. So I can't zap you with the Packers Steelers, obviously. But so just so you know, you have that zap in your back pocket. First game on the menu, Justice, the Indianapolis Colts are visiting the New England Patriots in Germany because we hate them. The Patriots are 2-point dogs in a game that they are technically hosting. This game's pretty gross. Gross way to start your Sunday morning.
What a difference in Germany between this and the Chiefs Dolphins game. Oh my god. Why do we need to send this over there? By the way, do you believe the Belichick video that's floating around? Have you seen the Belichick video?
I need you to explain that to the audience before I tell you whether I believe it or not,
It
because
is it is allegedly Bill Belichick being caught on some sort of ring or ring-like contraption, leaving
the ring
some like
doorbell, the ring doorbell,
ring
just to be clear.
doorbell,
Yeah.
leaving some house that like looks like Nantucket, shirtless to walk into a tinted SUV. So people are calling it the walk of shame. It looks like Bill Belichick, but it's grainy enough that I'm not 100% sure.
I don't have a lot of experience in the Nantucket, like kind of Boston area. I've been there once, but the lighting, which I think is important, makes it seem like it's about like 6:30, 7 a.m., which kind of jives with the like overall vibe of what the video seems to be. I could believe it. You know what I mean? Like if it was confirmed, I'd be like, yeah, I totally believe it. But I'm with you. Like I do have some level of doubt because it is Bill. I also like, why would he have, I mean, I understand the like joke, but like why would he have been shirtless? Like what would have happened to the shirt to the point that like he couldn't have put it on before walking outside?
Partying too hard, man.
I guess. Well, I'm gonna side with 51% don't believe it, but what do you believe?
I want to believe.
I'm with you.
I
Like
don't
I want to
I
believe.
don't know what I believe, but I
Right.
want to believe.
Okay. Well, do you
Back to
believe
this
in the
game.
Patriots? Yeah.
Ooh boy, this game stinks.
Actually, but on the subject of belief, do you buy I think it was the Boston Globe that had the report that Belichick could be fired if they don't win this game. I don't believe that at all. Like that seems inconceivable to me.
I think he's going to be the head coach until he breaks Shula's record.
I think he'll
So
break the record, but I don't think it's with the Patriots. Like if they move on, I don't think it's a mid-season thing. Like you don't fire Bill Belichick mid-season. You know,
no. Yeah, I mean, it's not even like the Packers, right? Where when the Packers fired Mike McCarthy,
I gotta bring that up.
like they had a Hall of Fame quarterback still.
Right.
Like it's not like you need to get to market real quick so that you could sell agents about, hey, we're building around Mac Jones. Like, I guess I'll go. Guess I'll go the Colts here. No real good opinion other than the Patriots just stink.
I do think the Colts are moderately well coached. I think Shane Steichen's really kind of impressing. It's kind of hard to see because they're not like winning a ton and they don't have, like if Anthony Richardson were there, like it's easy to
Yeah.
see D'Amico Ryans' impact because of the CJ. Not that he's like directly involved, but you get my point. Like there's no like, low hanging fruit thing to like bring our eyeballs into the Colts, but they're taking positive steps forward, which I think is important. Eric Simmons, by the way, asked on Facebook whether or not Bill Belichick will coach in 2024. I mean, I think you and I both answered and said yes.
I think
Just
so.
this is not like a unique opinion. I think he's the Giants head coach, dude. That just seems to make all the sense in the world.
Ooh, we'll see if they get rid of Dayball.
I mean, but like it feels this is a weird analogy, but it feels Tebow to Manning Broncos ish. Like there's only one way, or there was only one way that John Elway could have sold all the Broncos fans on moving on from Tebow at that time. And it was to bring in Peyton Manning. And not that like, I don't know that any Giants fan is like, offering an incredible defense of Brian Daboll right now, but like to fire him would be silly. But to fire him to bring in Bill Belichick, nobody doubts that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I could totally see that. Okay, let's move on. Speaking of Bill Belichick, his former team, the Cleveland Browns, Justis, are visiting the Baltimore Ravens. This is one of the kind of game of the days. Interestingly enough, the Ravens are laying 6.5 points at home. Did you read Aaron Schatz's write-up about the Ravens this week in terms of DVOA? Obviously, they're leading in DVOA, but he contextualized it this way. I'm paraphrasing. He was like, I don't actually believe they're as good as DVOA says they are. Like DVOA believes the Ravens to be like 20% better than the next best team in the NFL, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean that defense is cranking though. That's one thing that you can hang your hat on with the Ravens. Plus, offensive side of the ball, Lamar's playing great. I mean, he's my MVP favorite right now as it stands today. The Browns are weird because they're a defense that in theory is really good, but they don't create a lot of turnovers. Like that's one big thing that is like working against them. Like, Browns fans are like, why aren't they like higher in all these, pass defense metrics. And it's like, yeah, you guys don't get interceptions. And then that offense, man. I mean, what are we going to do with this passing game? I think it's still, last in the NFL at pass rating. I understand there's some quarterback situations working out there, but like, it's not like Watson is like, if this is a big time moment for big time quarterbacks against good defenses, like I'm leaning Lamar here for sure.
So I mentioned DVOA of the top 10 teams by overall DVOA. The Browns easily have the lowest offense. So the
Yeah.
Browns, just for context, are 8th in overall DVOA. They are 28th in offensive DVOA, which is incredible. Like it has like 2006 Bears vibes. You know what I mean? Like Rex Grossman vibes, and that's not what you paid for, obviously, if you're the Browns.
Sure
Um,
didn't.
I mean, I don't know anyone who's like rooting for the the Deshaun Watson thing to work out, except for Browns fans. But I'm taking the Ravens. In fact, I mentioned locks. This is my lock of the week. I'm locking up the Ravens. I'm that confident. I believe. I am nervous about them a little bit long term because like to be football guy again. I think they're peaking a little bit too early. The Niners were the best team in the NFL a month ago. The Ravens are the best team in the NFL right now. I hope there's no drop off coming. I love the Ravens, but I don't think it happens this week at least. I think that they crush the Browns, and I think that nobody gives them credit again.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. the Speaking of the Niners, you were wondering how I was going to segue through stuff. Justis, I am the master of segues. Don't worry. The Niners are visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars, both teams coming off their bye. The Niners riding a 3-game losing streak. Nevertheless, they are 3-point favorites down in Duval County against the Jaguars that are 6-2 and looking for a statement win.
Bye week. This one's going to be the most Neanderthal take I have, and it's also lock of the week for me. I don't think the Niners drop 4 in a row. They're too good of a team to drop 4 in a row. They're not going to go 5 weeks without a win.
I mean,
I know that's a dumb take, and I'm dragging my knuckles on the ground as we speak, caveman, but like, there's no way.
I agree that it is kind of like primitive to be all, they're just not going to lose 4 in a row. That's why I'm picking them. But like, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to believe in the Jaguars and I want to buy in, and you know what I mean? Like, it's cool and it's fun and everything about them is fine.
Yeah, I mean, they're riding high
Yeah,
right
like
now.
this isn't an anti-Jacksonville take, but like I just do not believe that the Niners are going to lose their 4th game in a row, which would happen after a bye week of like sitting on 3 in a row. I don't know that this is the like juggernaut Niners that we saw a month ago again, but I think they absolutely win, and I think that obviously odds makers believe in them again. Like Jacksonville's a 6-2 team, and they're 3-point home dogs. Like that really says a lot about the Niners, in my opinion. I think this is a really good lock. Probably the best odds you can get on the Niners, I think, maybe across the rest of the season. But if they do lose, Justis, 2 weeks from now, they visit the Seahawks on Thanksgiving night. Like that could be an inflection point in the NFC West if the Niners do bottle this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's real tight up there.
Eric Simmons agrees with us, by the way, on the Book of Faces. Says, can the Niners turn things around? I think they can. Eric, just so you know, Justis loves Facebook. All of his like activity is spent on Facebook. You put photos of all the things that you cook on there, I believe, Justis.
Yeah, I don't cook much. Had a cup of noodle for breakfast this morning. So
okay. Justis, I mentioned the Texans. Look, I'll be straight up. I picked the Texans to win the AFC South, partly because it's such an unpredictable division, and kind of because I wanted to see it happen. CJ Stroud's really likable. D'Amico Ryans is really likable, and it's kind of cool that like they've been having the success. They're 500, getting I think a little bit too much credit for being 500, but whatever. Last week was obviously super impressive, but odds makers still not impressed. They're 6.5-point dogs on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off that big win in Buffalo. At home against Buffalo. Just before we started recording / streaming Justis, T. Higgins and Sam Hubbard were ruled out for the Bengals. We'll see about Jamar Chase, though.
Yeah. If Chase is going to be at full health, I'm not really worried about this. I know the Texans, in theory, are supposed to be like, the young team that had it all turned around and stuff like that. I mean, we're a couple weeks removed from them being in it in a game with this Carolina Panthers team that, is indescribable. Burrow's playing, good football now. I just lean Bengals here.
Yeah, I think we throw out the like he is inevitable thing a little bit too much in sports in general. If there is like and has been an inevitable thing in the NFL recently, it's Joe Burrow. Like that is the scariest dude in the NFL. Like I don't say that like as a diss to Patrick Mahomes, but there's a quality to Joe Burrow that like I'm absolutely terrified of that dude if he's the guy that my team has to play. By the way, Justice, I know that you're big on Facebook, but according to the boss man Michael Kiss, you're also big on TikTok. So hey,
Love you, Kissed.
yeah, Kist is great. I thought about locking up the Bengals, but I couldn't do it. Like I like the Texans enough that I didn't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? I didn't want that blood on my hands, even though I believe that it is going to happen. So I'll take the Bengals as well. The New Orleans Saints, Justice, are visiting the Minnesota Vikings in a rematch of the 2009 NFC Championship game, where Brett Favre cried forever, so much that the NFL had to change the overtime rules. But water under the bridge. Anyway, the Vikings are 3-point home dogs to the Saints in the latest bit of depressing news.
Why does this game need to be played? Why? The network should ask for their money back. The Saints team isn't any good. The Saints team lost to a bad Packers team.
They
And the
blew a big
Vikings-
lead to a bad Packers team, like dragged them for it.
Historic league or lead. Yeah, I mean they played 3 half decent quarters against the Packers and then one terrible one. Yeah, I mean, holy crap! I just don't even want to watch it. This is Red Zone Central, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm with you. Like all I need is from this game is the updates from Scott Hansen. Exactly. Like, this is just a tough scene, man. And like I feel for the Vikings. I've given Kirk Cousins a lot more love than most people around SB Nation for the last few years. So like I kind of want the Vikings to like be in this and like they have the third wild card spot right now. That would be fun. And the Joshua Dobbs thing is really cool. But like I just don't know, man. Like, and I don't know in general. Like I don't know that I doubted against the Saints, but like I mean, I don't trust the Saints to take care of any kind of business. So I mean,
No.
I'm gonna lean Vikings personally.
These are two teams that just what are they doing moving forward? Like, I don't know what the Vikings are going to do at quarterback. The Saints are like everyone just says like, hey, they're in cap hell, but they'll just push it forward and they'll deal with like the minimum payments on the credit card debt that the Saints have
Right.
eclipsed at this point. Like they are gonna have to double down on this bad football team while it's aging and basically not be able to like participate in free agency or anything next year. It's going to be bad. I don't want to watch this game. I'm just going to say Vegas got this right. It's going to land 3 on the dot. It's going to be a push.
Wow. So you're taking the push. So you're taking the Saints to win, though, at least. Okay. Wow, that stinks. The Packers, who you cover, Justice. The Green Bay Mermen, as Phoebe Buffet once said in an episode of Friends, a Thanksgiving episode. The Packers visiting the Steelers in a Super Bowl 45 rematch. The Steelers getting the traditional 3-point line at home. I did want to ask you something about Super Bowl 45. I did not know this. I saw apparently Rashard Mendenhall complains about this game a lot. Did you know this?
Because he had the ball punch that from him?
So I saw a tweet where somebody was like, I don't know where I might be getting this wrong. I might have been fake, but Rashard Mendenhall was apparently somewhere and was saying that Ben Roethlisberger does not get enough criticism for losing this game.
For the handoff or something?
I guess. I mean, but according to the tweet I saw, it made it seem like this happens a lot. I mean, like 13 years later, Rashard Mendenhall has complained about this a lot. So I didn't expect, that to be a thing in my life this week, but it was. And it just so happened. I don't know if it was because these two teams are playing one another, obviously, but nevertheless, it is happening at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, of course, Acrisure. Everyone calls it that. I think the Packers are a bad football team. I think they beat a bad quarterback who has since been released. Brett Rippon last week. Outside of that, they played one good quarter against the Saints, and that's pretty much all they've done since week 1. So I'm going to take the Steelers here, even though the 5-3 Steelers have a worse point differential than the 3-5 Packers.
I mean, I understand your point, but are the Steelers not a team with a bad quarterback? This is these are the wins that the Packers have. Like
they have better receivers.
I don't know that I buy that. Like I really don't.
I promise you that is true. Watch the game.
I mean, like again, this isn't about like I'm not trying to like convince you the Packers are good. I'm just like I don't believe in the Steelers whatsoever. Like that is the like so often we have like and I say we like the national football collective opinion gets one take wrong at the beginning of the season. The Steelers were that. Like everybody thought like, oh, here they come, Kenny Pickett and everything, and it's just been a disaster.
No, see, this is all about the Packers to me. I think the Packers are one of the worst, probably 5 teams in the NFL right now. As someone who has to watch them every weekend, I think the Steelers are probably a team that, like, even though their record is good right now, I would not be surprised at all if they ended up missing the playoffs or anything. Like, I just don't know if the offensive side of the ball will carry them there. But like this game could be like, so for example, the Packers, I believe it's the last 5 games defensively have given up 16.5 points per game. That's second best in the league, only behind the Baltimore Ravens. They've won 1 game in that span. Their offense cannot score points. Like Kenny Pickett can score more points than this offense right now, and that's what I'm worried about the most.
I guess I'll take the Steelers, but I mean, I don't feel good about it. So you sold
You're
me.
not supposed to feel good. These are 2 mad teams.
The Tennessee Titans, Justice, will be visiting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tampa is only a 1-point favorite at home. Think about that. You don't even get 3 points at home against the Titans. That is sad.
Man, I don't even know what to do with this one. Are
Well,
we
this is
buying the Levis?
so. Did you see the Tannehill comment this week about how he was like, I'm kind of glanced at it, but he was like going to mentor him or help him out or whatever.
Yeah. I saw
Um,
that. Then how he talked about Malik and all that
yeah,
stuff, and then it
I saw
became
Micah
10
Parsons. I was
things.
like, man, this dude dragged Malik Willis. You didn't care to help him. I mean, I think the Levis thing is interesting. Like I'm willing to believe more in Will Levis, the Tennessee Titan, right now than I am, say, Bryce Young, the Carolina Panther, or Tyson Bagent, the Chicago Bear, or Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh Steeler. Like it's still early enough in the process that I'm mildly intrigued. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm more intrigued by that than I am in Baker Mayfield, the Buccaneer. You know what I mean? Like it's still new. You know what I mean? Like it's still I'm still playing with the new toy at this point.
I'm gonna stick my neck out there and say I wouldn't put Young on that list quite yet. I want to see what that's gonna look like moving forward. But I don't know, man. I think I go Tampa here. I know I'm going a lot of favorites, but like Tampa, home favorite, only by 1 point. They have the more steady quarterback, which like congrats to Baker Mayfield for finding someone else a little bit more volatile on the opposite sideline. I know Levis has had, some highlight plays, but he's also had some like decently bad decisions too, from what I've been able to see. Like he seems like big arm gunslinger, and I just don't know if Tennessee has enough talent around them that I like trust that volatility right now. So I guess I'm gonna go Tampa.
I think I'm gonna take the Titans. I mean, again, I'm also just trying to manifest it. I'm just trying to manifest some level of interest. Actually, no, I'm gonna take the Bucks. I thought the Bucks were okay last week. I mean, like the Bucks had their hearts ripped out by CJ Stroud. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Bucks were fine last week. So I'll
The
take the
Bucks
Bucks.
have had some tough ones. They were in it with the Lions too, and it's like,
Yeah.
gosh, dang,
Well, they also won that Falcons game that they could have lost to. I
yeah.
mean, or did they? At this point, that game's already a memory. Not even a memory. But anyway, this has potential, like get a piece of it from a fantasy standpoint. Justice, the Lions, we talked about this, was our same game parlay visiting the Chargers at SoFi Stadium. The Chargers have taken care of business. They have won their 2 cupcake games, which everybody kind of was a little hesitant about. Their contest against the Bears and the Jets, both of which were on primetime. Again, we're kind of sick of this, NFL. Stop putting bad quarterbacks in front of the world. Anyway, the Chargers are 3-point dogs at home. The mighty home field advantage of SoFi
Well,
Stadium.
we'll see
Against,
what the home field advantage ends up looking like. Because
oh, this is
as
going
a
to be all
Packers
Lions
fan,
fan.
man, it's November. You get people from the Midwest wanting to get out, on a weekend trip. Your team is playing good. Like, I would not be shocked if Lions fans completely take over that stadium. And after seeing what Lions fans how they traveled for both, the opener in Kansas
Mm-hmm.
City and the Packers game on Thursday Night Football earlier in the season, like I wouldn't be shocked. Like this team is moving and showing up and being loud and rooting their team on right now.
So you're picking them, obviously, the Lions.
I am. I think this is going to be a little bit of a lower scoring affair than people think. I just, we already mentioned like the golf matchup isn't great, but at the same time, I don't think the Chargers defense is super talented. I just think that they're just going to keep an umbrella on top of on the offense, and then I want to love Justin Herbert.
No, you don't.
Go Ducks. I want to love Justin Herbert. But the consistency just for the entire offense isn't necessarily there right now. Plus the injuries at wide receiver, like I don't love it.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but I've definitely complained about it to people. I hate how people make a big deal about tiny little Justin Herbert things. That's just the way it is. But the thing that bothers me the most,
he's our sweet baby.
I know, but that thing that bothers me the most in that box is I've heard several people fawn over, well, Justin Herbert was asked who his favorite NFL player was, and he said Joey Harrington. And I want to scream at these people. I want to be like, yeah, I mean, the dude grew up like 10 minutes from, the stadium.
He grew up across the street. Yeah.
Well, whatever. Like, of course, like his favorite player would be Joey Harrington. Like, I hate how everybody is like, man, can you believe this obscure NFL player is his favorite player of all time? Yes, I can completely believe that, given like who Joey Harrington was in college and what Justin Herbert loves. Like, it's so dumb to me that
NFL people not understanding college football is my favorite thing.
I just hate that so much. Like that is such a thing for me. It triggers me every time. And it will happen again at some point. And this isn't even like a slight against Joey Harrington, but like, man, people are like, why would he like Joey Harrington? Because he watched him play amazing football across the street from his house when he was in an impressionable age. I mean, this isn't complicated.
RJ, who do you root for college football? You're a Cowboys fan, so I figure, Bama football, Duke basketball, Lakers basketball.
Justis,
Yankees
I've always been
baseball.
kind to you and everything. I'm a Texas A&M Aggies. These are some tough times.
Gig them.
Yeah.
Gig them buyout.
It ain't my money. I'm not worried about this. So we'll be fine. We won't, but whatever. I'm taking the Lions in this game. Man, I'm not rooting against the Chargers, but I'm kind of rooting, like, I kind of want to see, like,
I definitely want to see something. I want to see something different. Like, I don't want Staley to be the head coach next year. So I need the Chargers to do bad enough that they make that change.
What if it's Kellen Moore?
I don't think it's going to be Kellen Moore.
What if it were, though? Just to humor me for a moment.
I mean, I don't know. Does the offense look that great right now? Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
They ran down G at the goal line with Austin Eckler. That doesn't seem like a very smart move. So
the Chargers after this game will be at Lambeau. So
they can beat the Packers.
Easy dub for the Pack coming up. Anyway, okay. So, by the way, this is BLG's lock of the week. He locked up the Lions. So good for him. The Atlanta Falcons, Justis, are visiting the Arizona Cardinals. It's a sad game as well. Arizona are 2-point dogs at home to the Falcons. Just an embarrassment, really. It's been weird to see. Like you said, it's funny when NFL people don't understand college football. It's really apparent when like NFL people latch onto a storyline. So like in the last like 2 weeks, I think a lot of NFL people discovered who Arthur Smith's father was. And so like, that's like all you see now is like, I saw a graphic that was like his father's net worth. And it was like, what does this matter? Like, I mean, it's so silly.
I saw someone was like, his dad was in Skull and Bones at Yale. And like Bush almost made him like head of transportation or something, and I was like, what did we do? What the like? I thought we all learned this like in 2016 or something. But
I know. Have you ever seen, by the way, the Skulls with Joshua Jackson?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The Skulls are like an alleged like secret society at like at Ivy League schools that like that foster like presidents and senators and things like that. And The Skulls is a movie about that. Like the name of the society in the movie is called The Skulls. It's a really good movie. It's kind of old at this point. But I think it's Joshua Jackson. He's the guy who played Charlie Conway in the Mighty Ducks. So,
alrighty. I got to add that to my list. Joshua Jackson to me would have been a cornerback from Iowa.
So. That's also a good worthy comp as well. I think that's his name. I'm going to look it up. But who do you like in this game?
Oh man. I want to believe the Atlanta Falcons. It's very clear that fantasy football fans are just nerd raging at Arthur Smith. So I would love a 4 carry Bijan Robinson day and a Falcons win. So I'm gonna go Falcons here.
It is Joshua Jackson, and I forgot Paul Walker, the late Paul Walker's in the movie as well. So it's seriously a great movie. I
Huh.
highly it. Although it was, I just learned it or realized it came out in 2000, so it's from a different time. You know what I mean? Like you got to be willing to look past the clunky cell phones and stuff like that. I hadn't considered because I'm kind of in the like Arthur Smith's a jerk camp. Like I don't know anybody who's not. You know what I mean? Like he's maybe you, I guess,
He
but
seems he seems fine to me.
I don't know.
He's
Like
just
he's
a cranky dude
so
who's a
yeah. Well, if
football
he's
coach.
cranky, he's a jerk. Like you know what I mean. But um, I don't know. Like I don't. I, I don't. I mean, like I really kind of want the Cardinals to be good, and I felt this way for a long time ever since Dallas lost to them. So I could be like, oh, see, like you know what I mean, like that's what it was. But like that has not happened. I think the Falcons win this game. Like I think they're going to just kind of take care of the easy ones and continue to flirt with maybe even the NFC South. But I mean, what do you feel good about if you're a Falcons fan? Like you can't even see your best players play. Like I get the frustration.
They're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine for the skill players. Like they're one quarterback move away and probably a pass rusher from being a really, really fun team moving forward. They have a good offensive line right now. They have skill talent. Like they just got to distribute it to them. I know people are making a huge deal about it right now, but like I think that stuff's gonna solve itself. I'm not concerned about the Falcons right now.
I've been floating this out. Russell Wilson on the 2024 Atlanta Falcons.
Can the Broncos trade that contract?
I mean, at this point, anything's possible with the Broncos. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Man, there's not that many good. I mean, the one I would have circled
Would have been
before the
Kirk.
Achilles would have been
Yeah.
Kirk. Yeah, I mean, Kirk is the guy where it's like,
That,
I
but
don't
that,
know, maybe we pay him. Like,
I mean, Kirk, Russ are the best options. Miss me with the Tannehill stuff. I do not want to see that.
no,
Um, I mean, Joshua Dobbs, somebody's going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, why not?
there's
Russ.
not great options out there.
The New York Giants, Justis, are visiting the Dallas Cowboys. This opened at the podcast audience didn't see your face. This opened as 16 points in favor of Dallas. It's grown since then to 17 points. It is the
Oh my
largest.
god,
It is the largest spread in an NFL game this season. Again, to reiterate, the Dallas Cowboys are 17-point favorites at home against the New York Giants. Just for some context around all of this, well, the Cowboys obviously beat the Giants 40-0 in the opener when the Giants were conceivably in their best possible position. The Cowboys also in the Mike McCarthy era generally respond well after a loss, which they're coming off of. The Cowboys also generally take care of the bad teams, which the Giants are. The Giants are also down their top two quarterbacks. This is the Tommy DeVito game, obviously. Oh, and the Cowboys are riding an 11-game winning streak at home, which is where this game is for them.
this firmly falls on any Tommy DeVito game. Firmly falls under the Brett Rippon rule of he's not an NFL quarterback. So I'm just taking the other team automatically. Doesn't matter how bad they are. The Giants are going to perform like, if not the worst team this weekend, one of two worst teams this weekend, and that's I'm saving a quarterback injury in the pocket for that one.
Yeah, I think this is one of those like if you saved the Cowboys for some reason in your survivor pool, let them go now. You know what I mean?
Unload
Like
it,
this is
unload it.
yeah. I will say they were 12.5-point favorites in that Cardinals game, and it felt like the same thing. Like, oh, here they come. Like this should be easy.
But I don't think
But
DeVito is good as the quarterbacks that the Cardinals even had. Like that's I haven't seen a damn thing at a DeVito that makes me think that he should be on an NFL roster. Not starting NFL games, not second on the depth chart, like on a team. Why is he here?
we run a Madden simulation every week at Blogging the Boys, which is obviously super valuable. And I did it right before you and I got on this morning. The Cowboys won 31-3, so they covered at least. Are you taking
What
them
is
to cover?
DeVito's overall? Like 42?
I don't know. I didn't even look, but it looked that way. Like it was a tough scene. I mean, Justice, you have a robust Madden franchise team, so maybe you put DeVito on the practice squad. You know what I mean? You get him some developmental XP. You do the weekly trainings with him. You never know what you can ultimately turn out.
He would never replace Taysom Hill on my bench.
So you're taking the Cowboys, but as far as the line is concerned, are you taking the Cowboys?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not taking DeVito, so don't put me in that corner.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last one of these. This is actually Steven's lock of the week. Yeah. Uh, I don't know that I don't know how I feel about him locking up a 17-point favorite. You know what I mean? Like that does feel a little. I mean, come on, let's work a little bit. But I
I
mean,
mean,
to
this
lay
this
seven.
does mean that people are picking Giants plus 17, right? Like books
The,
tend to balance these bets and
well,
the money or
especially because it opened at Dallas minus 16. You know what I mean? So like the books were clear, like not enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like we got to keep going. So it's wild. All right, the Washington Football Bowl, Justice, the Commanders visiting the Seahawks, your neck of the woods. Seattle laying 6.5 points at home. The Commanders coming off of the throttling of the New England Patriots. The Seahawks coming off of poor showing in Baltimore last week.
yeah, I think this is a bounce back opportunity for the Seahawks. That was a tough one. The early kick going East Coast, all that stuff. The Commanders, I wonder what happens with that matchup on the edges because the Seahawks are a team that have been a little bit shaky because of the people in and out of the lineup at the tackle position this year, and the Commanders obviously just moved on from Young and Sweat. Um, it'll be interesting. One thing too, Seahawks got a brand new flashy pass rusher on that defensive line, and Sam Howell has taken like 9 sacks a game, so I'm sure he's going to want to be pinning his ears back. If the Seahawks go up early by 2 scores, I could see this one turning into a bloodbath. So I'm going to go Seahawks here just because of that. If it's tight, I could see it being tight, but if it gets out of hand even a little bit, it feels like the Commanders are just going to lose the reins completely.
See, like I'm kind of with you a little bit. I could see it being tight, maybe like into the third quarter. And Seattle scores to take like I don't know, like a 6-7 point lead, and then like the very first like Commanders offensive play is like a strip sack fumble recovery or something like that, and then
Yeah.
and so like all of a sudden it's like like you get one of those tweets that were like it's like 3 minutes and 17 seconds ago in game time that this was tied, and now the Seahawks are up by 23 points or whatever.
Like Sam Howell is on pace to break David Carr's sack record by 50. Like,
Did you see, by the way, I don't know who, but NFL media had a crew of people do like a halfway, assessment, whatever, Super Bowl prediction, like predicting like now they're at the halfway point, and you will never guess who David Carr picked to win the Super Bowl.
the Saints.
That's correct. He picked the
Oh my
Saints to
god.
beat might have been the Chiefs. I actually forget who it was, but the last line of the write up was like in a stadium he knows well because it's at the Super Bowl's in Allegiant Stadium. So like that will obviously serve to Derek Carr's advantage that he's played there. Justice.
The Carr family is terrible at manifesting. Have they manifested a thing? They manifested Devontae coming back to Carr, and then that went away after a year.
Well, he went away. I mean, that didn't go away, but like, he went away. So
Yeah.
yeah. Tough scene. Tough scene. By the way, Joe Brooks says 49ers beat the Steelers week 1 in the 12 Central window. So it's not always West Coast teams are bad in the 1 p.m. Eastern window. Just saying. We'll see. We will see. I guess that has to do with the Niners visiting the Jaguars this week. West Coast team going all the way out east. Do you consider, by the way, Florida to be east? And when I think east, I don't think it's not just east. You got to be like southeast.
The travel sucks. The travel sucks that the time zone is there. As someone who lives out west, yes, all of that.
I see. Like I don't consider you to live out west. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't say like Justice lives out west. Like you know what I mean? Like what? No, but like that's what I'm saying. Like west and east are like within the middle of the country. You know what I'm saying? Like you live in the northwest. You can't just say west. That doesn't properly reflect where you live in my mind.
Yes, we can say west.
You can't.
Oregon is in the west. You're the guy who calls like Chicago Northwestern? You're still back.
No. I think Chicago's Midwest. Like I put it all in the same. You know what I mean? It's all like together for me.
All
so,
right. What is west? What is west to you? I need to know.
West is like California. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the middle. Like I think Oregon and Washington are Northwest. You can't call it West without including North. That's an
All
important
right.
qualifying factor.
Okay. All right.
I will take the Seahawks as well, by the way. Sunday Night Football, we mentioned the primetime quarterback. So we just got Tyson Bagent and Bryce Young. Now, Justis, we get Zach Wilson and Aiden O'Connell, the Vegas Raiders in that building that you can't win in unless you have an incredible understanding of, obviously. They are 1-point dogs at home to the Jets. What a low moment to be 1-point home dogs to the Jets.
Why is this game on television? Can we flex out games?
We
Is this
can.
just New York and Raiders? Like
yeah,
they
that's
just
all this
market
is.
play?
That's all this is.
Good Lord. All right.
Plus, I only bring this up because a lot of people don't know. Fox and CBS have the ability to like retain
They
games.
protect.
Yeah,
they
so
can protect games.
it's a finite amount of times. But like, I mean, I don't know what network has Browns Ravens this week as an example, but I imagine if it's CBS, I imagine they were like, yeah, kick rocks. We want this game. So
I guess, man, I think I'm gonna go Jets here.
I'm going Raiders.
I think I'm going Jets. I like that pass rush. The
That's
Raiders'
it
run
though,
game
dude.
has
Like,
been a
what
little
does the pass
iffy.
rush mean? With that, like the offense is inept.
I know both offenses suck though,
I know, but
and it's like
I
they
mean,
have Devontae, but they have receivers too. Randall Cobb is a healthy scratch. That's nice. That's a big win for the Jets. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go Jets here.
I'm
No
gonna take the
great feel.
I'm gonna take the Raiders. It's been interesting to
I
see.
will say this one thing. The Jets have like 2 losses left in them. Right? Like if Aaron Rodgers is actually going to come back and they're going to be in playoff contention, like the Jets have like 2 losses left for the rest of the season. So
You're saying before that loses like legitimacy.
yeah, because then at that point he's like, we're not even playing for the playoffs anymore. So I don't have to come back.
As somebody who has chronicled Aaron Rodgers' medicinal journey a lot, what stock or what probability do you put on him potentially actually coming back?
I've actually talked to doctors about this, and what they've said is that what he's doing isn't crazy, but most people, especially who are basically the way this works out, right? Like you can rehab from an Achilles if you're really working at it like a professional athlete would. The thing is, if you're really working at it like a professional athlete would, you're usually not willing to come back to the field rushed because you're going to be super limited in terms of your mobility coming back, which is why this happening to a quarterback is a really unique situation. So they're
But
like, they understand what he's doing. It's nothing like it's unprecedented because there's so few people in the situation that he's been in, not
mhm.
because he's doing anything crazy medically,
Yeah,
I guess.
that he's a quarterback, so mobility isn't completely required, and that it happened
Right.
literally in the first week of the season, which would
Right.
afford as much time as possible. I suppose, like to that point, it
Now,
would.
I will say the number one thing Rodgers wants to do is say, "I didn't come back, but I coulda."
Oh, dude,
That is it's gonna be so freaking annoying, and he will absolutely love to play that card.
I am surprised I hadn't really heard of or thought of this take before. I was listening to one of the episodes of the Around the NFL podcast this week, and Dan Hansis mentioned that some people think that it is like a fake injury, like it never happened, and that he's actually doing this.
He
I don't
got
know if you've
hurt.
heard this, and
He
he's
got
doing
hurt.
this to like spite modern medicine.
No, he got hurt. I mean,
I mean, I don't
we
believe it.
saw his
I hadn't
calf
heard that. Yeah,
vibrate. Yeah, we
I
saw
mean,
his calf vibrate. No, he
um,
got hurt.
I I was gonna say on the jet before we got off on this tangent, I'm kind of here for the like, typically in situations like this, I do feel like it gives everyone involved a pass because it's like, oh well, the quarterback, his Achilles tore. Like, what could he do? But like, Robert Sala's got none of that. Like, I do feel like Robert Sala's like the brunt or is facing the brunt of all the like frustration of Jets fans. And I don't know how anyone blames him or blame. I can't blame anyone. Like, why did they stick with Zach Wilson? Like, again, I'm not proposing like, oh, you should have traded for Joshua Dobbs specifically, but like Joshua Dobbs is an example of like, if you had done literally anything, it could have won. It could have saved you one game. The way, you know what I mean? Like if the Vikings make the playoffs by a game, it was totally
Zach
worth it.
Zach clearly isn't his guy, right? Just based off of the responses that he's giving, it's not his guy. So it's either Joe Douglas still thinks that he can get something out of him or Woody Johnson. It has to be one of those two, right? And he's just the guy who has to answer questions every week of why is Zach Wilson the starting quarterback. I do feel bad. I feel bad for Bob. You know, this
Why?
isn't a great spot for him to be in. I mean, he didn't think that it was going to be like this. I just don't know what kind of. I mean, they can't get rid of him, right? If they don't make the playoffs or anything. Like
Saleh?
yeah. I mean, he still gets a freebie
I
for
don't know.
Rodgers not playing.
It all depends if Rodgers is coming back. You know what I mean? Because if he's not, then it's like, why
If
keep?
Hackett's not there, he's not coming back.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if Rodgers is not coming back, you know what I mean, in 2024, that's what I'm saying. Then
Yeah.
why keep Saleh? You know what I mean? There's no, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
like you might as well completely, restart. So,
I don't think that's gonna. I don't think Aaron's gonna want to go out like that.
I don't know. So I'm a big believer in basically Harvey Dent's, like, if you can't, like, if you live whatever, what is the Harvey Dent line? If you live long enough, goodness, help me out, Justice. What is the line?
Become a villain.
Yeah, if you live long enough, you become a villain. Or if you don't die a hero, you live long enough to become a villain. Man, that was really embarrassing. And so in a similar sense, I'm a believer in if you can't win the Super Bowl, you want to lose in a certain way to, like, enhance your legacy. Like, you want to die trying. That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. If you can't die a hero, whatever.
Blaze of glory.
Right. So as an example, a lot of people have over romanticized in retrospect Tony Romo's career because of the Des catch game. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he died a hero that day. Like, I love Romo and his career was really amazing, but, like, it wasn't what it gets made out to be because of that particular game. In a similar, like, recurring phenomenon, Josh Allen has benefited greatly from the divisional loss to the Chiefs. Like, because it was like dying a hero, he is still that person for a lot of people. So, like, Rodgers is risking a lot. I mean, like, he died a hero. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people came back to Rodgers. So, like, he risks a lot to come back. He lives long enough to become the villain once again.
Let the record state the Packers were going to score a touchdown in a response to that Des catch anyway. So it didn't matter if it was or was not a touchdown.
Also, let the record state that, like, it was 4th and 2. Like, why are we heaving a bomb, down the field? I mean, when Cole Beasley's open underneath to move the chains, but that's neither here nor there. Finally, Justice, Monday Night Football, Russell Wilson and Josh Allen present the best quarterback game of primetime this week. The Bills are laying 7 points at home. The Bills, who stink. I know the Bills still check out in a lot of ways. EPA per play, point differential. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out. Like, I've been out on the Bills all season long. Like, my big take was, like, they did nothing to improve their offense. Like, last year they were like, oh, Gabe Davis will just be the 3 touchdown a game machine, and it didn't happen.
Kincaid doesn't move the needle for you?
No, I mean, like, it's just
two little pass catching tight ends that can't run block.
It's so silly to me, and everyone, like, the Bills. Well, I wouldn't even say 20 minutes. The Bills, like, 3 hours of, like, clout appears to be over. Like, you were the table smashing, lovable underdog that became, like, a part of the big boy table. Respect, but, like, you do not have the staying power that, say, the Bengals have in that capacity. But I will take them and lay the points as well.
The comparison I made with the Bills earlier this week was like not when it all fell off the rails for Mike McCarthy's Packers, but like a couple seasons before that, like 2014-ish, right, where they were just very much like a finesse team running this shotgun offense that, like, clearly wasn't working or adapting in any sort of way, and they weren't doing enough in terms of talent acquisition to really, like, move the needle. That's
Julius
what's
Peppers,
really
wow. Oh, Vaughn is Julius Peppers, and Leonard Fournette is Eddie Lacy.
There we go. Yeah. I mean, I'm just not a huge fan of the way the Bills have built that football team. It feels like if you want to get, down in the mud, dirty, this Broncos team might bring you there, right? They've been playing pretty decent ball in recent weeks after starting off pretty terribly. So I'm actually going to go Broncos here +7. I don't think that they're going to win, but I like the chances of that one covering.
The Broncos are going to be in our life a little bit for a minute, Justice, because after this game, they're on Sunday Night Football against the Vikings. Although I think that game might be getting flexed. I'm not certain yet. We'll see, obviously.
They got a big fan base out west. I
Look,
understand why they would want to put them on national TV.
it would be hilarious if the Broncos won this game. Like, to be clear, I'm rooting for this. You know what I mean? Because I'm
Yeah.
out on the Bills. Like, it'd be so funny, and nobody would still blame Josh Allen. I'm kind of rooting for chaos at this point. Like, it'd be really, really, really funny. And imagine the Russ speech after beating the Bills on Monday Night Football. You know what I mean? Like, it would just. I want it. I want it so badly.
Scott Van Pelt interview. I'm ready
And
for it.
it would drop the Bills to 500 on November 13th. That would be
I mean, the
insane.
AFC East is wide open. Miami hasn't beaten anybody. We're still talking about the Jets,
That's,
technically.
I mean, I guess. Wow. Okay. So I hope you're right. Okay, Justice, that does it for TGI football. My voice made it through. Your mind made it through. We did it. We survived. How different do you feel as a person after this hour of conversation?
I'm a different person. It's the only way I could explain it.
Okay. Okay. As we leave, Justice, I would like you to give us one thing you promise to eat and one thing you promise to watch over the course of the weekend. And the one thing you promise to watch cannot be sports related.
Ooh, one thing I promised to watch. What was that
And eat.
movie?
Oh, the skulls. It was the skulls.
The Skulls. I'm going with that. I'm gonna write that down right now. One thing I promised to eat. Um, got a big box of frozen waffles, Eggos that I gotta hit. So at some point, I'm gonna have to eat those this weekend.
You doing these barehanded? Or are you going fork and
No,
knife?
I
Okay.
was just. Do you think I'm a savage? No, we go with powdered sugar. Get a little fruit on there.
That's the exact opposite of savage. That's finesse. That's Mike McCarthy's 2014 Green Bay
The
Packers game.
waffles bare hands is one of the craziest moves that you could do.
I mean, but like an Eggo, like I could like you're on the run, comes out of the toaster. You know what I mean? Like I could totally see it.
Not for me.
All right, let's get out of here. Justice, give us 2 words.
Packs suck.